Raw nutrients are the best. Raw meats, raw vegetables, those are low acid diet. You take a piece of meat and you put it through a flame, or you charcoal it, or you barbecue it. That is an acid diet. That is a very dangerous, you know that. Because if you take proteins and you apply heat to amino acids, it becomes another compound. Huh? It becomes a compound called a nitrosamine. You have enough nitrosamine in your system. People eat a lot of barbecues and you know, she likes it, the 火锅and that 铁板 and all that. You're going to ask for trouble because the protein is no longer the original protein. It is called it releases nitrosamines. Nitrosamines is the #1 cause of cancer. It's a very dangerous chemical. That is why people eat a lot of raw foods like the Japanese live so long, because raw food is actually neutral. It's more alkaline. There's very little acidity to it. And eat rational amounts. Most people eat too much. You eat too much. Of course, Asians, we don't look fat because we're lucky. Genetically, we have a high metabolic rate, right? You can eat like mad, but you're not. Unfortunately, the Angmos, they just smell and they get fat. We're very lucky, but we eat too much. And our dogs, we need to rationalize. Obesity has now become a big problem among animals. Because for us Asians, children and puppies and dogs need to look, right? Because if they don't look, it's not cute. They've got to look like that. We go, you know. But this boy is obese. So you've got to be very, very careful. We don't create a problem because of a cultural misinformation. I heard an information last week. The question was asked, which country has the highest numbers of obesity per head of population? Did you hear that information? They did a survey recently. They surveyed 5 different cities around Southeast Asia. I keep talking about this part because northern part I don't know. But this part. Which country has the highest numbers of obesity per head of population? Obesity doesn't mean just overweight. I'm about 2 kilos overweight. Obesity means grossly overweight. Your BMI is very, very high. So anybody know? Malaysia, yeah. This country has the highest number of obesity per head of population. You're an obese country. You're very close to the US. US, everybody's obese. Wild animals eat only sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. Huh? They don't have their meal every day. I'm a vet. We have some vets in the audience. We tell our clients, you're feeding too much. No, doctor, he gets hungry. If he doesn't eat his 2, 3 meals a day, he's going to start vomiting, produce acid and all of that. You hear that? You guys are the same. They vomit. They don't eat enough. I'm going, no. Of course they vomit. They vomit because sometimes it's part of their training. Huh? The dog is trying to train you. And sometimes it's actually food intolerance. That's why they vomit. It's not because they're producing too much acid. They're vomiting because they have food intolerance. Maybe they got gastritis. They got other problems. And food is not going to solve that. If eating food is going to solve gastritis, my God, then you're all going to be overweight. Because a lot of Asians have gastritis. Your gastritis is due to stress and bacteria. There's a very common bacteria among Southeast Asians. It's called Helicobacter pylorus. If you go for a test, a lot of you have that. Huh? It's the #1 cause of almost 90% of stomach cancers in Indonesia is caused by this bacteria. And what does this bacteria do to you? Give you stomach pains if you don't eat enough. You don't eat on time. You're gastric all the time. You burp all the time. You have a lot of reflux and all that. Test yourself. It's a simple test. If you have Helicobacter pylorus, you better treat it now. Because if it gets worse, you get ulcers. If you already got ulcers, better find out it's not caused by this. Because it's untreated, the next step is cancer. And it's easy treatment. 7 to 10 days of antibiotic. It's a special antibiotic and antacid. That's all it is. That's all it is. That simple. and you're symptom-free within 7 to 10 days. Optimum nutrition. Optimum nutrition, not balance. I don't like the word balance because it's nonsense. The food intake, you've got to have at least 3 serves of vegetables and fruits. For humans, I'm talking about humans now. Complex carbohydrates, omega oils, and quality protein, 1 serve. So you have 1 serve of meat and all that vegetables. So very often, I don't eat a lot. I only have 1 meal a day. My meals are, I'm mostly vegetarian. I'm pescatarian. I eat a little bit of fish and all that. But I love my fruits and my veggies. When I go to a buffet, the first thing I do is watch. You see what people have piled on the plate. The first thing you see is oysters, the lobsters, then the meats, vegetables, then they feel a bit guilty. They go there, put a little bit of green to make it look like it's balanced, you know. So a bit of green on the side there. But this green has been cooked for the last 10 hours. So there's nothing left in there. It's all soggy and limped and all that. The color is not quite green. It's a sort of a Asian yellowish green. And then that's called a balanced diet. You've got to watch it. Your protein is right at the bottom. You know, they have this food pyramid. You look at cornflakes at the back, they have the food pyramid. That's wrong, you know. That's wrong. Your protein must be at the top. Then in the middle is your carbohydrate. The other one is your protein at the top, your vegetables and fruits in the middle. Then carbo is at the bottom. No, 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 no. As a clinical nutritionist, by the way, I'm trained. I didn't learn on the internet, you know. At the top of the pinnacle is your meat. In the middle of the triangle is your carbo. Right at the bottom is your fruits and veggies. Right at the bottom. So this is 3 serves. Carbo is 2 serves. And 1 serve of protein. That's all you need. But our biggest problem when I started designing food, addiction company, by the way, is mine. I started it because I was so sick of dog food companies coming out with stuff which is bad for dogs. I tried. I think you need to know what is real, what is true. Okay? The truth is, it's out here. Out of my mouth. I got nothing to lose again out of this talk, you know. I'm semi-retired. I don't care. I can go fishing tomorrow. I'm doing this because I think I'm one of those few vets who's brave enough to tell you the truth, okay? You better take it in because not going to be a lot of us around. So what happens when you eat the wrong type of food? You get inflammation. Do you know that? You have inflammation in your body. And that's why after a horrible meal, you can witness this inflammation. The first thing, when you sleep, you don't rest. You have nightmares. You get nightmares. And the second thing, you suddenly feel very hot. You feel very hot. And the third thing, you get very drowsy. People say, oh, well, that's you digesting the food. You're burning the fat. You're burning the sugars. No. No. Actually, half of that is actually inflammation. Your body is wrestling with the stuff you're putting in, which is causing a lot of, you're stimulating your immune system. It's coming to the rescue. It's coming to the rescue. If you eat enough of that, the first rescue it does is try and get you out the back. You run to the toilet. Everything comes out. Because your body is trying to help you, you know. It's trying to tell you, hey, listen, this is wrong. Huh? After a meal of salads and fruits, I don't feel all of this. I don't suddenly feel hot. I don't think I need a nap for 2-3 hours to digest. That's rubbish. That's someone come up with that and we all believe in it. No, really, people say, oh, you need. I don't. I work in my clinic 10, 12 hours a day. I go home about 10, 11 o'clock. For the last 40 years. I should be dead by now if that was true. Good food. What is good food? Forget about what I'm telling you, okay? You don't have to listen. But those of you who want to listen, good food is highly digestible, low allergy protein, so your body doesn't have to fight with it. But don't get the wrong thing. Good food doesn't mean not tasty, you know. You can have tasty good food. Maybe one day someone will invite me. I'll do a cooking class. How to make good food taste good. So unfortunately, this is life, right? Whatever is good for you tastes terrible, okay? Feels bad, gives you a heart attack and causes cancer. Those are things that taste and good. Things that are good for you are tasteless. Nobody wants it. Whereas things that are bad, everybody wants it. My dog wants it. If you feed your dog something nice, next day you think he'll look at that food. Oh, no. He'll look at you. Mommy, please, I need what you're eating. I need good food. I need your food. Bad foods, saturated fats, excess red meat, refined carbohydrates and sugars, together with food allergies promote the formation of inflammation. What does inflammation do? Diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's disease, pulmonary disease, arthritis, autoimmune, neurological disease. Yeah. That's the inflammation you're creating every day when you go down to the hawker center and you get your char kway teow and your little bit of sprinkling of green to make it look better and your big glass of chendol. All of that is going to give you inflammation. I get clients that come up to me because I love giving my dogs papaya. I think it's very good for them. Oh, doctor, I cannot. Papaya is sweet. It will give them diabetes. But this one doesn't. All the stuff that they eat doesn't give diabetes. But sweet fruit gives them diabetes. Inflammation and disease. What does inflammation do? How does it cause disease? Free radicals and inflammatory cytokines. What causes inflammatory cytokines? Meat. When meat is broken down in your body, it releases inflammatory cytokines. When an animal is killed, when it's struggling in the abattoirs, it has all the bad information in the water, right? Plus it has a lot of inflammatory cytokines, plus it produces a hormone which is bad for you. It's called cortisol. And you're eating that meat. So that's why in the Bible and in the Quran, animals must be killed in a special way. They're not supposed to struggle. They're not supposed to create a lot of problems because, see, God is very wise. He speaks to all the different races, asks them to kill animals in a specific way. And if they don't understand, he makes them vegetarians, like the Buddhists. So when animals struggle, the blood becomes acidic. That information of that struggle, the horrific fact that is killed in a horrible way, is forever trapped in the tissue fluid. Because in order to give an information, that information needs to be powerful. Very powerful information then is transcribed onto the water. And then it releases cortisol from the adrenal glands. And when the meat starts breaking down, it produces cytokines. And then you take the piece of steak and you eat it. You're eating all of that in the piece of meat. So on the whole scale of things, eating meat, you got to be first very careful. Secondly, don't take a lot of it. And thirdly, if you can, become vegetarian. The free radicals, and then what happens to this meat when you eat it? If you eat a lot of this, aging. You age a lot, huh? You will take someone from Switzerland, where they good clean air, good water, all of that. They don't eat a lot of meat. And then you use the same person's family who lives in the US, where they eat, the meat is like that, one person, that size. You see how fast they age. Same with the Japanese. The Japanese in America, they are different to the Japanese in Japan. So it's not about genetics. Yes, gene plays a small part, but mostly your diet. People eat a lot of meat, you age very fast because you're constantly causing inflammation. People with a lot of meat have a shorter lifespan. Huh? They're more prone. I haven't heard a good vegetarian suffer from coronary heart disease, or someone who is eating very simple nuts and fruits and grains suddenly drop dead because his arteries are blocked. But people who eat a lot of meat, fat, fried stuff, roasted stuff, barbecue stuff, sauce all over, MSG, don't know what other G's you put into it, all the G's, you're going to wind up with problems. And then you develop a disease called chronic degenerative condition disease, which you don't see a lot in the old-style villages. Huh? And then you go down the rivers, and you go to some of these long houses, they don't get these problems. What are some of the chronic degenerative diseases in humans? It's easier to identify because you're not vets. Coronary heart disease is one. Next one, cancer. Next one, joint disease. Next one, autoimmune. These are the chronic degenerative diseases you see in people. Then you say, well, this is a dog about animals. What do animals get when they eat all this? Because I'm constantly having problems with people coming up to me, especially Hong Kongers. Dr. Lai, your food, there's only 20% protein. Oh, people tell me you need 30% for a dog. I'm going, why? Why do you need 30%? Well, you know, because if you read anywhere on the internet, you speak to all these breeders, dog needs 30 to 35% protein. Why? What, your dog is running, what, 20-mile race every day? Huh? Is it chasing sheep and cattle? Huh? What, is going 20 floors upstairs and downstairs in the apartment block in Hong Kong? So why do you need 25, 35%? Why do you need that? Because some idiot out there who doesn't know anything about nutrition is recommending this. You know, when people recommend nutrition, the first thing you do is you look at them. You look at them. It's like a doctor telling you how to be healthy. The first thing you do is look at the doctor. The practitioner must practice what they preach, right? So don't go and listen to these people who don't know nothing about it telling you something that they should be practicing if it was true. Chronic degenerative disease in dogs, chronic skin problems. Chronic skin problems. Arthritis when they're only what? 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, they got arthritis. Why? Or cataracts. How old is your dog? Oh, 9 years old, 10 years old. It's an old dog. No, it's not an old dog. Age of an average toy breed, if you're going to have a toy breed, is 18 years. So if it's 9, 10 years old, hey, young man, middle age. It's a young dog, young cat. But no, they look like an early aging. You see the aging in dogs sometimes? They're 8, 9, 10, and they're all gray. They look like the owner, aged. And the owner is young, the dog is young. You cannot transcribe that. Chronic degenerative disease in dogs. As I said, cataracts is caused by diet, by the way. Yes, there's a genetic component, but there's a huge component with this. Chronic ear problem, gastrointestinal problem, IBD, irritable bowel disease, which you get in humans as well. Cancer. In the old days, when I was younger, I used to see 5 to 6 cancer patients a month. Now I see 5 to 6 a day. 70 to 80% of dog food that you buy is manufactured in someone else's factory. It's called OEM. You don't believe? Go and check. Go and check. They don't have a manufacturing plant. They just change the name. They change the packing. Free radicals. What sort of free radicals? Every time there's inflammation, you get free radical. A free radical is an electron-depleted oxygen atom. That's a free radical. It's a byproduct of normal body function. Your body produces free radical. Disease and injury produces more. If you get too much of free radicals, it causes inflammation and it starts disease. You cannot have a disease without the initiation by free radicals. Always first. For example, radiation causes free radicals. You get disease. If you take chemicals, it causes free radicals. You get disease. When you slip a disc, the thing that causes the inflammation is the free radical. Then you have the inflammation and the disease. Kidney disease, you must have an insult, chemical or otherwise, for it to start the kidney disease. The free radicals is generated. Then you have the disease. So for most of us holistic vets, we give a lot of antioxidant to reduce the numbers of free radicals. Free radicals are toxic biological byproducts of oxidation. It causes inflammation, DNA damage, tumor initiation, causes accelerated aging, degenerative joint disease, immune alterations. You can have an animal one day suddenly develop an immune system problem that rejects itself. It's called an autoimmune disease. It cannot just trigger it. There's always a trigger. It cannot be the animal itself. It's not genetic. There's a trigger. What is the trigger? Free radicals. What causes free radicals? Food. What are proteins that have low inflammation? Eggs, very low allergies, extreme